Right, say a big thanks to the team at Need a Car, because this week they sent us to check out Dave's super slick XA Coupe.
Always been fascinated by cars. To me, this is what I grew up watching, Bathurst and going out to Pukekohe and seeing other cars like that race around. And I love the cockpit dashboard that actually wraps around you like as if you were a pilot. I love the tail lights, how they actually slope into the back of the panel. The front grille, round headlights. There's bits I like about the XB and the XC as well, but for me the XA was just that little bit more.
The XA Coupe wasn't produced in huge numbers, so sourcing a starting point some 4 decades later would require an open mind in what a starting point actually looks like. Dave's search would mirror that of thousands of Kiwis, navigating the perils of a certain online auction site.
And I got exactly what I guess you would typically expect to get, and it had all the dents and the rust and the bog and everything else in it. Yeah, so just another Trade Me auction really.
But it was a starting point, and one which Dave would waste little time improving. First, upgrading the usuals like braking and wheels, before getting a bit more serious in the go department. Auto Shop piecing together a tough 393 Coupe stroked Windsor, topped with a pair of PBM Strikeforce aluminium heads and fed by a 780 CFM carb, with firing duties courtesy of MSD. When it came time to address the body's less than desirable bog to sheet metal ratio, things didn't go quite so smoothly, at least to begin with. The first panel shot more talk than action. Either way, it was going to be a big job, and one Dave was in no mood to do twice. A mindset that led him to the doorstep of Malcolm Sankey and Matamata Panel Works, a workshop that's no stranger to highly modified Ford Coupes.
I always wanted to make the car, in my opinion, clean, simple and smooth. So if you have a look at things like the bumper, all the bolts and nuts are gone, and they've been chopped and Frenched, so it's all smooth bodyline sort of stuff. Door handles gone. As much as the honeycomb is an iconic XA piece, it was always a pain in the ass because you'd clean the car, you'd turn around and you'd see water running out of it because you could never get it out. So less is more in that respect. So I tried to make it look like less, but that actually makes it harder to achieve. Certain things were always going to happen. I always hated the fact that you could see tie rod adjustment at the front end of the car, extended the front balance panel so that you actually hid all that front suspension. I always hated seeing window wipers, so I wanted to get rid of those. So the only way that we could really justify doing that was to extend the bonnet and then the top of the guards as well. There's the obvious things that you'll see in the car, and then there's stuff that, unless you're the panel beater or a real XA fanatic, there are just stuff that you will never ever spot. But the only panel on the car that's 100% factory has not been modified is the boot lid. Everything else on the car has been modified either subtly or substantially.
While the XA will now hold its own in any show hall, Dave's quick to point out the big coupe is no show car. That meant mechanicals required the same full-on treatment as the body. The fresh 393 Coupe Windsor was still more than an appropriate fit for the revised game plan, but now dressed to kill and backed by a Tremec TKO 5-speed. While the suspension, braking and Dave's wallet would all be introduced to a big chunk of the RRS catalogue. 19-inch Forge Line 3-piece wheels took over the rolling duties, while in the cabin, that aircraft-like cockpit importantly retains its character, but with a big dose of the 21st century now in the mix. Leather everywhere, including those BMW seats, vintage air, and Dakota digital gauges. Taking the dream car of his youth, an iconic one at that, and modifying it to the level it is now is a brave move. It's a big investment, yes, financially obviously, but when there's this much in the details, time too is a major factor, and Dave would do it again tomorrow.
You knew that you were entering a project that wasn't going to be a one-year turnaround. It was always going to be a 2 if we're lucky, maybe 3. We pushed out over that a little bit. It's really good having Malcolm there because, yeah, he is passionate. He's passionate about his business, but he's passionate about you and your car. And you see it in the team as well, you know, like when you go down and you talk to the panel beater directly or the painter directly, for them it's not just another bit of work that they have to turn out from Monday to Friday. I guess you go in as clients and you sort of come out at the other end as having built a friendship. I would say that I'm not an overly creative person as far as designing stuff, and I don't mind drawing, but I don't actually have the great skills of being a great artist. But I always knew what I wanted, and to be able to explain it to someone and say I want this and change that and do this, and see those guys actually go out and put that into a finished product, I think it's a fantastic project to go through. I guess it's the same as other people that go out and build houses. You know, it's the same. I'm out there designing and building a car.